One of the scariest things sometimes as, creating music could be just a blank canvas. That moment where you're staring into an empty DAW, no matter which one it is, and you're just figuring out, where do I go? What do I do? And I often find myself in those moments. And so I want to share with you a couple things that can be helpful to kind of just jumpstart some creative inspiration. Now, typically when it comes to being inspired and, starting a song from scratch, it can really come from anywhere. And I think that's key. And you have to understand that you don't want to pin yourself into a narrow one solution or a one way must be the way to create music. That's the beauty of music, that we have so many different ways to express ourselves. So, for me personally, if I find myself with writer's block or just have no idea where to start from, I tend to just listen to music. I know that sounds obvious, but believe it or not, what I'm not saying is just, step away, listen to music, but being intentional about listening to the music and saying, what's inspiring me about this piece of music that I'm hearing? And oftentimes when I'm listening to music, I'll be, how can I recreate this? And usually in that process of recreating something, that might spark momentum. And that's what we're after here, is momentum. I think that's the key element. Because oftentimes you're like, oh, that sounds cool, or this and thing. But it can also lead you astray and you will lose momentum. And then at the end of the day, you're like, you know what, forget this. I'm just going to go give my dog a bath or a squirrel, whatever it is that you have. But the reality is, yeah, there's not one way or one right way to be inspired to create music. So you can listen to some music, try to reference something that you would want to replicate. That's always helpful. And it always builds up your skill set as well when you do that. Or just browse through some new patches, new sounds. And that's oftentimes what happens in my process. When I'm not either listening to music, trying to reference something, I might come across some patches. And those are just different presets that you might find in synths or plugins, as well as maybe browse through some loops, whether it be from a website that offers loops or services like that, or just something that's located on the hard drive. I'll just spend some time going through it. Now, here's a tip. Here's something I would actually encourage you to do. If you find yourself running into just a writer's block, so to speak, and more often than not, what I would encourage you to do is take one day out of the week. And I know sometimes for us, time is very limited when we get to spend on making music. So spend one day of the week where all you're doing is combing through samples, going through your hard drive, finding one shots, whether it's kicks, snares, rim knocks, or your neighbor yelling at you, whatever it is, put that together in a specific folder. In this case, in Ableton Live, we can make a collection of those things here. Set that aside, and dedicating some time, one day of the week or something like that, just where you can allocate a time where all I'm doing is just building an archive, right? Just filling my reservoir, my well, with some new water, so to speak. That's what we're doing. You want to set aside some of these sounds and stuff that can be really inspiring for you, so that when you do try to start a new session, you can go back to that and be like, okay, I'm not going to spend time browsing through samples. I've got a whole bucket that I can choose from, and hopefully inspiration will come a lot sooner. So that's something that I would encourage a lot of people to do.
Feeling alone in the dark, but we can make the light shine through. We've been stuck in the cold and it's hard, but soon we're gonna feel brand